I've made a lot of videos about Obsidian, showing you how to create content, curate your notes, and generate ideas. Obsidian is great for generating content, but sometimes I want to take my article and run it through Grammarly, or I'll make some fine-tuned edits when I'm about to publish this on my website. So wouldn't it be nice then if I could take that final output and pipe it back into Obsidian without having to manually transfer? I've described before the importance of building a system around any of your activities to be more efficient. In this video, I'm going to show you how I automatically transfer any article that I write on my blog, post it, and put that into my Obsidian knowledge graph that I can then share with you all in the context of Obsidian. In addition to the YouTube channel, I also have this website that we call Heureka Labs. This is where I write articles, oftentimes thinking about and preparing content for the YouTube channel. So this platform that I use for Heureka Labs is called Ghost. It's a fantastic publishing platform. And so I want to show you how I go from a Ghost blog post into my Obsidian knowledge graph. So the first thing I need to do is prepare a new article in Ghost that I'm going to publish to my website that I want to automatically transfer. This is a little bit meta because the article that I'm going to post here is the article that will eventually link to this video. So I have a placeholder here, add video link, and I don't have a feature image yet. Now, if I then take this post, here's a little publishing data, and I go ahead and I publish it, set it live now, what will happen is it's going to trigger some actions. If we go to the website, we can see that this is live now. The platform that I'm using to manage all of my transfers, all of my events that are going to trigger, is a no-code application called Zapier. Zapier is a great no-code platform that will allow you to trigger some actions based on events. This integrates tightly with Ghost, and so I set up an action here that's a trigger when a post is published in Ghost. Now, I have several actions that happen. I'll just show you. One of the things that I'm doing is creating a text file in Dropbox. I'll explain that in a second. I'm going to cross-post my article in Medium. So as soon as I publish an article on my Ghost platform, I can also cross-publish a Medium and link to the original URL, which Medium requires. This is going to increase access and readership for some of the articles on my website. Then what I'm going to do is delay briefly and create a tweet in Twitter that then announces that I've generated a new post and encourages Twitter followers to go check it out. But this step right here is key. So when I post a new article in Ghost, that's going to create a first event, which is create a text file in Dropbox. The action that I'm setting up is really simple. I have a new folder, and this folder is my Heureka graph forward. I'll explain that in a second. The file name is the title of my article, and the plain text is the text of the body of the article. And I'm having this not in HTML, not in Markdown, but just in plain text. And then finally, I'm going to say I don't want to overwrite it. Now, I have a Dropbox account, and this is the Heureka account that's going to then hold all of these articles. Now, recently, Obsidian launched a new mobile app that runs on an iPhone that you can then sync your Obsidian knowledge graph using the iCloud Drive with the app so that your Obsidian knowledge graph is available now on your phone. This is great because I have a small subscription to iCloud, and I now have Obsidian here. And I have my knowledge graph, and these are all of my articles. My knowledge graph is also publicly shared, so if any of you are interested in some of my ideas, you could check it out at this link. Now, the problem is, if I want to save directly into this folder, this is on iCloud Drive, and Zapier doesn't have an iCloud Drive integration. It has a Dropbox integration. Now what I've set up is a temporary folder that I call Heureka Graph Forward. This is in my Dropbox. I can then set up a folder action to transfer anything that is put in this directory goes into this directory. So I'll show you just a simple example. If I open up this text file, this is empty. I'll say this is just a test. Now it's important that this is a plain text file, not a rich text file. If I save it, I can then save it as test.txt. All right, it would add it if I didn't put it on. Now, if I save it here, I've set up a folder action. If I go back over to this folder, you can see I have test.txt right here. Okay. And now it just disappeared because a folder action was triggered that I set up. So let's look at this folder action. So we can go to our services, and then we could say folder actions setup. Run service. Before making this video, I set up a workflow. If I say edit workflow, it's going to open up a little program called Automator, which is built into your Mac. Now I want to set up a new action that is tied to a folder receiving a file. So this is the folder that I'm setting up the action for. The first thing that I want to do is I want to replace the text. Now this is a little bit dangerous, but also a little clever. You can replace .txt with MD. Obsidian uses Markdown documents. Markdown is really a fancy text file way of formatting text. So this is safe. Now, normally, if you were going to change the extension of a file, this is like a major no-no, where if you were going to change like a Word document to .txt, that's like a mess. But the interconversion between text and Markdown is pretty safe. So it's going to replace txt with Markdown, and that essentially changes the file extension. And then the last thing that I want to do is I want to move this item from this folder into my folder over here. But I don't want to just drop it into my big giant mess of a network. I want to drop it into inbox. I have an inbox, which is where I drop stuff that I'm still thinking about. And so if we go to inbox and we look for a test, sure enough, here it is. And it says, this is just a test. Now, lastly, if I open up my Obsidian knowledge graph, I can then go to my inbox and I can scroll down and I can find test. And I can say, this is just a test. So this is the file that I just made as a test for you all to show you the workflow and the folder action setup. But if we come back here, I made an article called My System to Automatically Import Blog Posts into Obsidian. Where is that? Let's go back to here and we can look in my inbox, and here is my system to automatically import blog posts into Obsidian. So this is the title, because that was the title of my article. This is the body, okay? It saves some of the links. What we can do is if I want to quickly format this into Markdown, I can turn this into a link. This is how this works. And I can do building a system. This is also a link. Wrap it here. And then what I can go back and do is I can add my video link and I can add a header and so on. So that's it. I first take my article, I publish it using the Ghost platform. Zapier then connects an activity like seeing a new post and generates a series of steps. One of those steps is to cross-post this on Medium for more outreach. A second is to notify Twitter followers that a new article has been posted. But a new step that I just added was to create a text file that syncs to my Dropbox. Now, to get this article from a text file into my Obsidian knowledge graph, I then set up a custom folder action that takes my text file and converts it into a Markdown document, and then transfers that file into my Obsidian knowledge graph and places in my inbox. I can then review it in my inbox, make some fine-tuned edits, update links, and so on, and then put that in my knowledge graph for you all to share. So that's the system that I use. It saves me time, so I don't have to do this manually. Now, in the comments below, I want to hear from you. What ways have you built systems around Obsidian to make it more efficient?